Hey Steve, how are you? Great to see you.
Yeah, you too, Paul.
Can you tell me first of all your job title?
Well, it changes from film to film, but mostly these days it's sound supervisor or dialogue editor and re-recording mixer.
Okay, can you tell me about the re-recording side? Now that's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, basically, the role of a re-recording mixer is to blend all the different elements that are involved in the soundtrack, music, dialogue, and effects on the broader subdivisions
Right,
and yeah, and making a harmonious and balanced and beautiful soundtrack. That's
right.
our
And
goal.
you've got to work out the balance, I imagine, between the dialogues and the effects, so you can
Yeah,
actually hear what's being said,
yeah,
but leave the
exactly. I mean,
atmosphere.
dialogue is the spine. That's what everything else hangs off. So, that's for most people. I'd say that's the most important part.
Right,
And when I say most people, I mean like the director, the editor, and the audience. If they
right,
can't do what people are saying, you get a bit lost and you get a bit disinterested.
right.
So use that as your spine, and then you hang off the music and the effects.
Right, and I understand. So for different formats, you mix different ways. It might be volume or well, how does that all work?
Well, different formats. What do you mean? 5.1 Atmos, that sort of
Yes,
thing.
exactly.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think I don't mix in a different way. Dialogue's always down the center. I'm pretty
Yeah,
old-fashioned. Um, and then I think one of the key things is um, not to be distracted. So when you're watching a film, you're in the film. The film is at the front of the cinema,
right.
um, and as long, of course, you want it to be immersive, but you don't want it to be distracting. So I don't necessarily mix differently.
Right.
Obviously, you're putting more information in different channels, but the principles are the same throughout,
Okay.
for me anyway.
Okay. Right. And then you've got when does the music come in?
The music that's changing film to film, but generally when it's final mix, um, it depends if I'm working with a particular composer. I might get demos early on to balance against during the premix.
Right.
Um, I mean, if you're doing temp mixes and you're lucky enough to have the composer on early, then you'll get hopefully some good demos for the temp mixes.
Right.
So that could be you might have that relationship for weeks or months before you actually get to the final mix. But you obviously got to have it by when you start the final mix. So,
Right. And sometimes does I imagine the frequencies clash, don't they, between the music and the effects? You've got to watch
oh
out for that as
yeah,
well.
you're always on the lookout for that, and um, you might have to repitch or retune some effects. Generally, it seems to be bells, if there's church bells or something, or planes, something that gets in the way of the music or clashes with the music. So it'll either be obviously the music's not going to go anywhere. So either the effects will have to bend in terms of what sonic landscape they take up, or
Right.
or they
And what
just
you want to guide it, I suppose. Great.
yeah.
And Steve, how did you get to your position?
Well, it was a long old journey.
Like us all.
I started as an usher up at the West End in Empire Leicester Square,
Wow.
and then became a projectionist at the Empire and Plaza Cinema, which is now Tesco's. Um, and then Jerry Humphreys gave me a phone call. I don't know how to this day. I'll never know because he's not around anymore. But Jerry gave me a call and asked if I wanted to be a projectionist at Twickenham Film Studios.
Right.
And I said, yeah, didn't know what that was. So I was there, and then an opportunity. I was only there for a little while, maybe a year, and but it was back in the day, when you had projectionists and
Yeah,
you had sound crew upstairs. We'd have like six guys, I think, in the back, lacing up 35 and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, then they said, "Oh, do you want to learn how to mix?" And I joined Tim Cavigan, the
yeah,
great Tim Cavigan,
yeah, the great Tim.
um, Chavigan, as they say, uh, and yeah, and learned a lot off Tim, um, and then after about I think I was there 13 years, something like that, and 50 odd films, I went freelance, and that was 17 years ago. And yeah, so it's been, and then, you know, I was a mixer then, only a mixer, and it was back in the days when it was um, editor mixer.
Yep,
But I found that workflow was changing. That more it was a better workflow if you could be on the project earlier, and
yep,
obviously it meant you were on the project, so you're getting paid for longer. Um, so out of necessity, I learnt dialogue editing, and that's sort of how I built up credits with the on the editorial side, and then obviously that carried through on mixing.
right.
Yeah,
And kind of looking back on how you did it and looking at what the young people have got to face now, which is
yeah.
very different. Any kind of advice? What would you suggest as a good step?
Yeah, I do think about this because recently I have been asked it quite a few times. I don't think there are the same opportunities today. I will admit it's probably a lot harder. And I mean, the way I got these opportunities was very rare even then. So, what advice? I think, you have to go through a phase of finding someone who is established and just shadowing, finding assistance roles, um, any way that you can learn your craft, that you can, I think understanding that most of the job or a lot of the job is getting on with people.
Yes, I totally agree.
Um, and, just being there, knowing that it's going to take time,
They're
um,
showing willing and
but
turning
I
up
think
on
hard
time.
work really pays off,
Yeah,
people see that. And if you're an easy person to get on with,
yeah,
and keep yourself present as well, keep yourself known to people. I think that's part of it as well.
good.
People forget pretty
Yes,
quickly. So
yes, they need
yeah,
reminding you're there.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we all go through that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think you're very right. I think it's such a sort of people business,
Oh,
learning to deal
completely.
with
Yeah, yeah,
relations.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like all the directors, totally different.
Yeah.
Try and
Yeah, yeah,
learn
yeah.
who wants what.
Yeah.
All right, Steve. Well, thank you so much. It's
Not a
really
problem.
nice to have a chat with you, and I
You
really
too,
look
Paul.
forward to working with you again. Thanks,
Yeah,
mate.
you too, mate. Okay. Thank you. Take
Cheers.
care. Cheers. Bye-bye.